Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Miss Coffee here, and today we're actually doing a whip and chat. So get out whatever it is you're working on, work along with me as I tell you some stories from the coffee house shenanigans. Now, I don't know how long this is going to last. I'm going to tell you some stories, and if it lasts an hour, it does. If it doesn't, I'm sorry. Not sorry. It is what it is. So, how was your weekend? Did you have a good weekend? I hope everybody had a good weekend. My weekend started off a little weird. Let me explain why. So Friday nights, I double stream. So when I say double stream, I don't mean stream at the same time on two different platforms. Nay. I stream over on YouTube, and then I jump over to Twitch, and we play we do community game night. So we get finished with community game night. I raid out. I go sit with Mr. Coffee. He's playing his game. And next thing I know, like, I'm editing a video, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to just rest my eyes while it's rendering because I was a little tired. So I go to rest my eyes. The biggest lie as an adult we tell ourselves is that we're just going to close our eyes for a minute. And I woke up, when I went to sleep, I remember looking at the clock, and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. When I woke up, it was 7 o'clock. I wasn't in the same stream I was on in Twitch. I was in a different stream, but it was okay because I liked the streamer, so I was like, oh, sweet. And so I stayed up from 7 to 8:30, and then I was like, okay. I was going to stay up because I was like, I can get so much stuff done if I just stay up, and then I'll just go to bed at a good time tonight. Wrong. I went right back to sleep. I woke up long enough before 7 o'clock to watch Mr. Coffee turn his game off, snuggle into the couch, and then fall asleep. Did I stop him from falling asleep on the couch? No. Did I tell him we should go upstairs? No. I watched him in slow motion turn off his game, look over at me, put my blanket on. Like, I have a heated blanket that I use on the couch. And he turned it on and, like, snuggled me up into the blanket. And then he got his blanket and laid down on the couch next to me, and we went to sleep. Never made it upstairs on Friday night. So then I wake up at 7. I'm in another stream. I watched the other streamer until they raided out. When they raided out, I was like, okay, I'm getting tired again. Okay, I'm just going to rest my eyes for a little bit. I'll wake up in like 2 hours. Wrong. So I rest my eyes, and I woke up at noon. Everybody done walked past me and around me and everything else. I'm laying on the couch, mouth wide open, just sleep. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, why didn't nobody wake me up? Maggie was like, Daddy said don't mess with you. And I was like, oh, for once you actually listen to your dad? Wow, thanks. She's like, you're welcome. I'm like, where is your dad? And she's like, he's outside with the dogs. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I go to get up, and I was going to get started with my, like, pet chores, because it's like walking the dogs, cleaning out the ferret cage, feeding and watering the ferrets and all that stuff. Well, he had already done it all. And I'm like, what does he want? Anytime Mr. Coffee does chores like that, without being prompted, it's immediate, what do you want? So I was like, what the hell does he want? So he comes back in the house. He's all dressed, and I'm like, what happened to you? He's like, I went up and got a shower after I woke up. And then I started doing chores and stuff because I have to get going. And I'm like, well, where the hell are you going? He got called into work again. I was like, oh, good God. So he's like, I know you have stream today, so you shouldn't have to do anything besides get ready for stream. And I'm like, I appreciate that. Thank you. So Maggie was like, and I'm going to go outside and play. And I'm like, well, what are the rules? Because I make her repeat the rules back to me so that if something were to happen, she can't say she didn't know because she said the rules to me before she left. Not lefts. So she's like, don't talk to the neighbor kids. And she still is not allowed to talk to the little neighbor kids up the street. I'm still not allowing her to do that because I don't want to have any issues. So then I get ready for stream. I start streaming, and I get a text message. Now, I thought the text message was from Mr. Coffee. Nay, it's from the girls' mom. The one that said I was a bad mom because I don't watch my kids 24/7. I don't have eyes on them 24/7. I'm like, I don't know if you realize this, but I have a whole ass kid that don't even live here. So how the hell am I supposed to keep eyes on her? Like, asking for myself. But she was like, hey, so-and-so wants to know if they can play with Maggie. And I was like, no. No. Not no, but hell no. Why would I allow them to play with Maggie? Like, well, they're bored and they want to know. I'm like, I don't give a crap what's wrong with them. That's a you problem. Like, those aren't my kids. Those are your kids. And if your children are bored, maybe you should do something to entertain them. But my child is not responsible for entertaining your children. She didn't like it, and I don't really give a crap. So I was just like, you know, what it is, what it is. Like, you came up with this arrangement that they weren't going to talk or speak or anything like that. I agreed with you, and we both agreed that if if one set of kids was there, that the other set would, you know, not go to the playground. The problem with that is that the day after we came up with this agreement that they weren't going to play together anymore, and that if they saw each other at the playground, that they are not allowed to go to the playground, her children decided they didn't want to listen, and they started, every time they saw my kid at the playground, they would just go run up to the playground. And of course, you know, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, if you're paying that close attention to your children, that you got eyes on them 24/7, then you would have saw the fact that my daughter was at the playground first, which means that your children shouldn't have been at the playground, but they are making beelines for the playground so that they can try to talk to Maggie. And the one older child keeps trying to talk to Maggie. And Mr. Coffee was walking the dogs, and there's 2 big shipping containers next to the dog park. So you can't really see unless you're on the opposite side if there's anybody in the dog park. And I guess their little girl didn't see Mr. Coffee over there. She's throwing mulch at Maggie, trying to get Maggie to stop ignoring her. And Mr. Coffee just looks at her and he goes, now you can't say that I didn't see what I saw. I saw you throwing mulch at my daughter. We're going to have to ask you to stop, and you're going to need to go home. And she's like, now her mom can't say nothing because literally I recorded it. And I'm like, Mr. Coffee's learning, y'all. He's learning. He's learning that we need to start recording these interactions with these people because they be trying to act like we out here doing all this stuff, and in reality, we're not. So the little girl gets mad because Maggie's not talking to her, and I'm like, that sounds like a you problem. I'm going to be vaping. I don't want to do start and stop on the video. But the little girl gets mad and stomps home, and I'm sitting there like, I don't give a crap what the hell she does, but she ain't gonna be playing with my kid. But yeah, in the middle of my live on Saturday, the lady messaged me to ask could Maggie play with her kids, and I'm like, no. I'm like, there's no way in hell. Maggie is doing good. Maggie is keeping up well in school, and she absolutely loves school, which is great. I think her primary reason for loving school is because there's kids there for her to play with. Here at the house, there are kids here for her to play with that aren't those neighbor kids, but those neighbor kids make it a point that whenever they see Maggie at the playground playing with the other kids, they will then come over and start playing with the other kids, and Maggie will just get up and leave, which isn't fair to Maggie because she doesn't get a lot of time to play like without those kids outside because they make it a point to come out every time they see her. So I started telling her, you know, you don't have to come home. Just ignore them. Just straight up ignore them. If they come over and start trying to play with you, that's when you want to come home. And she says, okay. So I started keeping an eye out on her because I didn't want her to slip up and start playing with them. So I started keeping an eye out on her, and I watched as the little kids would come over and try to talk to her. She would turn her back to them and keep playing. And we essentially explained to the other little kids, you know, she's not allowed to play with those particular kids. So if you would like to play with them, that's fine. But Maggie can't then play with you. And so, like, the one little girl, they've been trying to send people over here to come get Maggie. So there's one little girl that lives right next door to those kids. She comes over the other day, and she's like, hi. And I'm like, hi. She's like, it's Maggie here? She lives here. She's like, my mommy's having a baby. I'm like, congratulations. I'm going to be a big sister. Congratulations again. I don't know what you want me to tell you. I just wanted to tell Maggie that I was going to have a big sister. Or a little sister. And I'm like, that's great. Congratulations again. Why are you here? And I see the one little girl that Maggie's not supposed to be playing with across the street. Like, she's across the street like there's a big barrier there. Like, I can't see her. And the little girl's, like, riding her back and forth. And she's like, well, I was going to see if Maggie was going to be a big sister one day. No. No. She's not. Have you met Maggie? No. There's no way in hell. And she's like, well, I'm going to be a big sister. Well, congratulations again. Why are you here? And she's like, can Maggie come out and play? No. I'm like, you're playing with her. She is not allowed to be around Maggie. Nice try, though. Maybe y'all should try again later. And they're like, oh, so she can come out later? No, I was being facetious. She's not coming out to play with you. Oh. And she's like, well, can you tell Maggie that, you know, I'm going to be a big sister? I'm like, Maggie heard you. She's literally right there. Have a good day. And I just kind of closed the door. I was like, what is going on with these kids? I'm telling you, I swear. But Maggie has started to get into her independent streak now where she wants to start doing more stuff for herself, which is great. I got to change the symbol on this one because I accidentally put down the wrong drills. I want to make sure I don't do that again. So 604 is that biohazard. 603, which is this one, is that symbol there. No, I still have not worked on this. I did not work on this at all this weekend. I didn't want to. So I was like, I don't feel like it. I actually felt like working on it this morning. So I was like, let me work on it and maybe try to do a whip and chat. So that's what we're doing. That's how this is kind of going to roll. So, yeah. So Maggie's starting to get into her independent streak. She's 10 years old now, so she's thinking, you know, I should start doing more stuff for myself, which is great because Maggie, where the other two kids got the independent streak where they can and will do things for themselves for the most part, Maggie never got it. Like, it skipped right over her. She's a little bit of a slow bloomer. And so she's just now at 10 years old going, I can do things for myself. So she decides, I'm going to do laundry for myself. And I'm thinking, okay, apparently you don't know how much laundry you have every week. You have twice as much as everybody else somehow. I don't know how that's possible, but you do. So she goes, I'm going to do laundry for myself. She gets the first load in. She starts washer, puts her little pods in. She goes on about her day. She comes back in a little bit to go switch laundry over. And I guess she couldn't reach the bottom of it. And my washer has an agitator in it. So it has that little thing that comes up the center of it. It's called an agitator for those who didn't know. And my washer has an agitator in it, so she goes to reach down to get into the washer, and she's holding herself up by that agitator. Well, her hand slips, I guess, and she falls in head first into the washer. Don't worry, there was clothes in there to break her fall. She didn't hit her head or anything. But as I'm sitting, you know, cleaning up, because this was Sunday, so Sunday is cleaning day. As I'm cleaning up and doing all the stuffs, I hear her, you know, screaming for me, and I'm like, what the hell? So I go see what the hell she's doing, because I'm like, she done set something on fire, because it's Maggie. Here, she's stuck halfway in the washing machine, because, again, she has fallen in. Now, we have already had the conversation with Maggie that she's not allowed to sit or lay down in the washer and dryer. And one day, she copped attitude with me, because I never let her do anything fun, and that day was when she was sitting in the dryer. And I was like, Maggie, you have a whole room to yourself, kid. Why is it that you have to sit in the dryer? Your room has like 4 different types of chairs and all the things. And I'm so glad we spent so much money on decorating your room because, good God, Lord knows you do not ever want to go up there. And when I go to, you know, help her get out, and she's like, well, Tommy pushed me in. And I'm like, you need to tell Tommy to chill out because he's trying to hurt you. And I don't care if he paid his rent. If he hurts you, he's out. And she's like, oh, Mom, he was just playing. I'm like, I don't give a crap. Like, I'm arguing with her about her imaginary friend, which, you know, makes me feel like a big adult. So I'm like, you know, whatever. So then, so yeah, so Maggie's doing good. Orion, if you didn't hear, he did find the library at school. He has yet to go to the library, but he knows where it's at now. So if nothing else, at least he knows where it's at. Oh crap, while I was on break, I forgot to get a baggie. Let's see. I just need a baggie. What symbol is this? This is... This is the biohazard symbol. I still have not I still have not kitted up this kit. It's a kit up as you go. So yeah, so there's that. But Maggie's doing well. Orion, he found the library. But yesterday, as I'm sitting here, I just got back from dropping off Maggie at school. I'm sitting there and I come home and I look on the counter and he left his water bottle here. Now, at school, the kids are allowed to have water bottles. Maggie's school, for some reason, won't let her have her circle. So she just takes, like, her Yeti water bottle. And Orion, he's allowed to have his circle, so he just takes his. Well, he forgot it here yesterday. when he was watering the dogs, he forgot to take it with him. Like, he forgot to grab it. So I was like, oh, god dang it. Now, Orion has turned into a really big germaphobe, which isn't a bad thing. But he won't use the fountain at the school. So if he needs something to drink, he will literally go all day without something to drink, and then wait till he gets in the car. And I always have my circle bottle with me. He'll wait till he gets in the car and then drink all my water. So I'm like, let me go run this up to him real quick before I start doing anything. Because if I don't, I'm literally, this kid's going to drink all my water when I'm on my way home. So I was like, all right. So I grabbed the water bottle and I was like, plus I can go get breakfast because I've been trying to do like a little bit better with eating and stuff like that. So I was like, I can go get breakfast. One of my favorite places to go out to get breakfast is Hardee's, especially like fast food wise. Hardee's has really good breakfast. They have like this omelet. Oh my god, it's an omelet biscuit. It's the best thing ever. So I was like, I'll just go run out and get breakfast while I'm out getting stuff at his, or taking this water bottle to his school because it's literally right there. So I was like, all right. So I grabbed the water bottle, whatever I have to tell myself essentially, so that I don't get mad at the fact that I literally have to go back out to go give him his water bottle. So I go give him his water bottle. I get to the school and I'm just in my, like, I wasn't expecting to go anywhere. So like, I still have like my hair cap on. I still like I have like a jacket on, some sweatpants and my boots. And I walk into the school and it's like a little bit after 8. So the kids are getting ready to go to class and everything. So they're all packed into the cafeteria of the school. And I'm sitting there and I go up to the ladies and I have my sunglasses on. So I take my sunglasses off and I'm like, hi, I need to, and the lady looks at me. She goes, hold up. You sound familiar. I'm like, I'm not sure how. I don't really know anybody around here. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. She's like, hold up a minute. Who are you dropping this off to? And I'm like, Orion? She's like, oh my god, it is you. And I'm like, what? She's like, are you Miss Coffee? Now, if you were in live on Friday, right? You remember, do you remember what I said? If y'all recognize me in public, what I was going to do? Do you remember? If you don't, and you weren't there on Friday, I said I was going to koala anybody that recognized me out in public, okay? So, and if you don't know what that means, I'm just going to run and jump on you and give you a hug. That's what koala means. So this lady is sitting here, and she's baffled at the fact, I guess she's a new crafter or something. And she's like, oh my god, it's you. It's Miss Coffee. She's like, hold up. This is Hogwarts? I'm like, well, yeah, this is Hogwarts. Because she was saying about the school being Hogwarts. And she's like, oh my god, Miss Coffee, I love your channel. And I'm like, hey girl, like real loud, just hey girl. And I just like reach over the counter and grab her and I give her a hug. And she's like, oh my god. She goes, I'll get this to Orion right now. She like snatches it out of my hand and takes off. The other two ladies in the office are just kind of sitting there looking like, what the hell? Now, of course, the lady calls me Miss Coffee. And the other lady that was in the office was there the day that Orion got the splinter. And so she knows my last name is not Coffee. So she's looking very confused. And she's looking at me. She's like, what was that? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know that lady. And I just walked out. Look, listen. I am very backwards about the whole YouTube thing. And it's not that I'm embarrassed about my YouTube channel. I just don't think people are watching it. And then when I find out that they are watching it and they recognize things or they say something to me in public, I'm just like, okay. So the lady, before she even came back, I left. I dipped out real quick. I was just like, all right, I'm out. So, yeah, there it is. I want to at least get this poop part done, because once I get this poop part done, which is a lot of confetti, then I can focus on these outer areas that are the main color in this big bag over here. So let's get this poop part done. So there's that. But yeah, Orion did find the library. Orion is doing fine in school. Mr. Coffee's doing great at work. He's getting ready to have his new guy start so that he can move up to his position. They were waiting to hire somebody else for Mr. Coffee's position because right now Mr. Coffee does all the things at work. And so when they hired this new guy, he's taking over the job that Mr. Coffee had in the shop, and Mr. Coffee's moving up to like an office job, which is going to be weird for him because Mr. Coffee has never worked in an office. Mr. Coffee's always been the manual laborer. He's never been the person in the office. So he's just kind of like freaking out a little bit because he's like, well, what am I supposed to do all day? Just sit and answer phones? I'm like, I don't know. I've never worked in an office. even though I have a degree in business, I've never used it. So I'm like, I don't know anything about anything. I haven't had a real job in 10 years. Okay. Like, I'm just like, no, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. Where that? Oh, there it is. It wasn't 603. It was 604. It was this one. And because I had already laid these down on the canvas, they're sticking to each other. So got to deal with that for a second. So now you see how they're all clumpy. The only way to really get them from being unclumpy like this is to wash them off, because they still have the tack on it from the canvas. So I'm just going to use these ones on the canvas to get essentially them out of the bags and stuff. But if you ever want to get them untacky like this and where they're sticking together, just warm soapy water in a bowl, put the drills in there for like a few minutes, and then strain them and let them air dry, and it'll take all the tacky off of them. You can even add a drip of lemon oil, like essential oil, into it, and that will also take the tacky off of them. Now, I can't promise it won't also take the color off, which I don't think it would, but I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, so Mr. Coffee is freaking out a little bit because this new guy starts today, which is the day I'm recording this video. And he's like, Mr. Coffee does not work well with others. He is used to working by himself. So to have somebody else not only helping him, but that he's training, he's freaking out a little bit because he's not used to having to train people. So I was like, you'll be fine. And I'm sure he'll be fine. Mr. Coffee is very much a people person. People tend to love Mr. Coffee. Mr. Coffee just doesn't tend to like them. And I'm super excited because his friend and him were talking about the wedding. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I bought a dress and all this. And he's like, it's not that type of wedding. And I'm like, what do you mean? Y'all, I done went out and bought shoes, a dress. The dress had pockets. You know how, if you're a female, you know the big deal about pockets in a dress, okay? I done went out and bought a dress, shoes, and everything. I was so excited to find out that it's just a nice little quiet, quaint, small, super small wedding. And I'm like, so I can't wear my dress? And Mr. Coffee's like, you don't want to outshine the bride. And that's going to outshine the bride. I'm like, it's a black dress. So apparently I have to find another outfit. And I'm like, God damn it. You know how much money I spent on this outfit? So I'm going to go over to JCPenney's probably this week and go look to see what they have for outfits. Because I'm like, if I can't wear a dress, can I wear a nice like button down with like some slacks or something? And he's like, sure. And I'm like, yay. And he goes to work and tells the guy, you know, that's getting married, you know, hey, my wife done went out and bought the shoes and dress and all this. And he's like, yeah, I think she's just wearing a t-shirt and jeans or something. I don't know. It's not going to be like anything super duper fancy. And I'm like, well, this isn't really super duper fancy. I mean, it's fancy because it got pockets. And even the guy was like, oh, she found a dress with pockets, dude, and you're not going to let her wear it? And he's like, I don't want her to outshine the bride. And I'm like, I'm not here to outshine the bride. I just want to look cute. So I have to find a new outfit, and I'm kind of bummed about it because the outfit I picked out was hella cute, but now I got to go find pants and slacks and stuff. And I'm just like, great. And then I thought about it. I was like, hold up. You don't got nothing to wear either. The last time Mr. Coffee dressed up was like, I don't know, 8 years ago. So I was like, oh, crap. We got to buy you a button down. He's like, what? I was like, you don't have a button down. Mr. Coffee's gotten really stalky in the chest area since he moved out here because of all the manual labor. So his little shirts that he had when we first met, because he always had dress shirts for some reason. I don't know why. But his little shirts that he used to have don't fit anymore. So I'm like, we got to buy you a nice button down because you don't have any nice clothes anymore because we don't really go anywhere. So he's like, oh, crap. I'm like, yeah, we get to go shopping for... Now, I normally hate shopping. Why? Because stuff like this happens. Like me buying... I find a dress... Can't wear it. I'm like, God damn it. So, I was like, God dang it. So, I gotta go find, what I was thinking, okay, y'all, hear me out, okay? What I was thinking, right? I'll get me a nice dress with like, or not a dress, sorry. A nice button-down shirt. With like maybe a black shirt with like the little pinstripes in it. And maybe some solid black pants. And maybe like, I can still probably wear the rhinestone shoes. Like, they're not super extra. But if I can't, I'll find some nice flats. They are heels. The rhinestone shoes are heels. And And I don't mind wearing heels with Mr. Coffee because he's wearing his boots, which have a little bit of a heel on it, so it makes him a little bit taller. Now, both Mr. Coffee and I are 6'1", so it's not like we need to get any taller, but we're doing it anyways. And I'm like, plus, after we're done at the wedding, we have to go pick up kids. And I'm like, I want you to take us somewhere. And he's like, where do you want us? Where am I taking you? I'm like, I don't know. Find somewhere nice to take us for dinner or something. I'm like, I am not going to buy this outfit to wear it for 30 minutes and then, like, go home. Like, no, we're going to go somewhere because this is going to be the first time in probably 13 years that not only is he going to see me looking nice, but, y'all, I don't do this often. I'm actually going to wear makeup. I'm going to wear makeup. I'm going to have a nice smoky eye, maybe a nude color on the lips. Like, I don't know. Because, again, I don't want to outshine the bride, and she's not into big, like, fancy, like, dress up everything stuff. So I'm like, I'm not either. But it's not often that I get to dress up, and I love playing dress up. So I'm like, so I'm going to be a little bit extra. You're going to have to excuse me because I'm going to be just a little bit extra. So I got to return the dress and go find me a nice button-down shirt and some slacks. And I'm like, great. Anyways. So I'm still excited for the wedding because somebody asked me, I think, on Twitch the other day about it. And I was like, what wedding? Who the hell's getting married? And then I was like, oh, snap. Yeah, the wedding. So yeah, so that's what's going on with, like, the wedding. And, like, I'm super excited, but we also have to go buy Mr. Coffee clothes because he ain't got no goddamn clothes, y'all. Now all my drills are sticky from putting them on the wrong spots. I keep having to open this one because for some reason I keep missing all of this symbol over here. Okay, stop closing this bag until all of them are gone. And then I need a 5 and a V right there. So yeah, so what else has been going on? So there was an incident at the school yesterday. That was kind of fun. At Maggie's school, I usually leave to go pick up Maggie. I'm usually gone like an hour before her school lets out, just so I can get a good parking spot and I'm not stuck somewhere in the middle of nowhere trying to find a way to get Maggie from, like, up the street or something, or having to walk all the way across the grass to come get her. So I'm sitting there and I pull into the parking lot of the school, and don't you know, there's my best friend. And if you don't know who best friend is this racist lady at the school who hates my life and told me to keep her mutt away from her daughter. That is my best friend, okay? So, as I pull up into the school, best friend is there. She apparently had just gotten there, and she was, like, also driving up the sidewalk to go park. Well, when she saw me, and I'm on the opposite side of the road, so remember, there's the sidewalk side, and then the side that's closest to the street. I'm on this side. She's on this side. And she wasn't paying attention to where she was going because she was too focused on what I was doing, which is why this is a good lesson in minding your business. She was so focused on what I was doing, she ended up ramping the curb because there's a handicap spot there that's flat, and then it goes up to the curb. Well, she ends up ramping the curb and hitting the handicap sign and then bouncing off the curb and busting 2 of her tires. Yo, I don't think I've laughed so hard in my entire life. I was like, that's what you get. Papa always said God don't like ugly. And then I went and just parked my car and waited for, like, the people to come out. Like, she had to call, like, AAA to come help her and stuff. And I'm like, you know, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I saw what happened. I ain't saying nothing, but I saw it. I'm just saying, I was going to let you know that I did see what happened, but I ain't saying nothing because it ain't none of my business. And I sat there and I'm, like, recording my vlog clip. And I'm like, what the hell? So, yeah, there was that yesterday. That was kind of entertaining. Also, the doggos made new friends, y'all. So, as you guys know, I have 2 large dogs. And my dogs usually love playing with other dogs. But they haven't played with another dog in a while because, again, people around here tend to move a lot. And so, the doggos that they were playing with moved away. So, they've been essentially stuck playing with each other. Well, then, I go to get off Twitch yesterday. I recorded a video, and then I run out to go walk the dogs, and there's somebody in the dog park, and I'm like, oh, god dang it, I'll just wait. So I'm waiting by my window like a creeper, like staring at this lady walking around the dog park. 1, she ain't had no shoes on. Gross. 2, she just sitting out there walking her dogs, and she had like what looked like a pit bull, like a 1-year-old pit bull, and like a collie or, you know, lab of some sort. So I was like, oh, we're just gonna sit and wait. So me and the dogs are sitting there waiting. And I see another lady come up to her and start fussing about her taking too long in the dog park. And I'm like, there's no time limit in the dog park. You're just in there. Now, it's common courtesy that if you see somebody else coming towards the dog park that wants to get in and your dogs are done and they're just like, you know, sitting around there looking stupid, that's when you want to get out of the dog park. But if your dogs are still like sniffing around and everything else, you don't have to get out until your dogs are done. At least this is how common courtesy works in my head. So lady comes up and starts fussing at her about her taking too long, and she never gets a chance to get into the dog park because of all the big dog owners. And I was like, I'm offended. I'm offended. I have big dogs. And the lady was talking about me because she seems to want to come outside the exact same time that I do. And I'm like, well, you would think you would learn your lesson and come out at a different time. I've been coming out this exact same time for 2 years now over here. And even longer at the old place, because at the old place we still came over to this dog park. So I'm like, I've been doing this for the last few years. You've only moved here like a month ago. You can change your time schedule. Come out 10 minutes after you usually do and you should be fine. No, she don't like waiting. Anyways, so I guess she just wanted to cause a ruckus, and I was like, I don't care. So I'm sitting there. Oh, what letter am I looking for? V 963. No, I think I remember putting that one in a bag. But yeah, the lady's sitting there and her dogs are just walking around the dog park doing whatever. And I'm like, you know, well, I have to hurry up because I have to go pick up the kids from school. So I was like, well, if nothing else, I'll walk them around the house and they can at least go pee. Daisy will poop on a leash. Killian is the one that won't. So as I'm walking, Daisy decides to drop a deuce right there in the grass. I'm like, oh, God dang it. And I usually keep puppy dog bags in my pockets because in case she does go to the bathroom. Well, apparently I was all out and I was like, God dang it. So I was like, okay. But before I left, I went back to the house because I had forgotten my key and I had to go get my key. I'm sitting on the porch there because I saw the lady that gave me trouble. Y'all remember the lady with the 2 dogs, the one, they kept like barking at my dog. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not putting your dog in here, or I'm not putting my dogs in there with your dog. That lady, the one that said the dogs were vicious. Yeah, she comes up to the dog park and she doesn't even say anything to the lady. The lady's on the phone. She says nothing. She starts just walking into the dog park. Y'all, it's the entitlement for me. She just starts walking into the dog park and the lady sees her, like after she hears the gate clink. She sees her and she runs up to the thing and she goes, whoa, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm bringing my dogs in the dog park. And she's like, you didn't even ask if my dogs were friendly. And she goes, what's up with you guys bringing these vicious dogs into the dog park? And the lady goes, my dogs aren't vicious. They're not even a whole year old yet. And she's like, but you can't just come bring your dogs into a dog park. And she's like, this is a public dog park and I should be able to bring my dogs in here whenever I want to, blah, blah, blah. And she's just going off on this lady. Well, the lady, I guess, had enough of being nice, and she starts yelling at her. Now, take it. I'm on my porch. Daisy and Killian are both sitting there watching with me. Sorry, I'm trying to find this. What number was that? 963. It should be already bagged up. Oh, I'm stupid. It's the big bag. But the ladies, I guess, had enough of being nice to this lady. And then they start, like, the voices start getting raised. And I'm like, oh, snap. It's about to go down. And I love me some tea. I don't want to be in it, but I like hearing it. So I'm sitting there being nosy on the porch. And there's a big bush in front of my porch. So if I sit down on my porch, you can't see me. And so they start yelling back and forth. And the lady's going off about how she's so sick and tired of everybody bringing their dogs in here and nobody's dogs being friendly enough to play, where she doesn't have to sit here and wait for however long. And I'm like, there you have it. She admitted it. She doesn't want to wait. She feels entitled to just walk into the dog park because she doesn't want to wait. I'm like, that's not how this works. Now take it. I'm arguing with her on my porch, even though she can't see or hear me, because I'm like, yeah, that's not how that goes. You can't just go run into a dog park just because you feel like it. Like, what the hell? And the one lady that's out there is yelling back at her. And she's like, you know, telling her to go, you know, maybe you should go walk your dogs. It looks like you could use the exercise. You know, it won't kill you to go walk your dogs until I'm done. And she's like, plus, I'm pretty sure the lady over there had next dibs in the dog park, which I didn't realize she had saw me. And so I'm sitting there like, oh shit. So I go sit down on the stairs, and she goes, oh yeah, the lady with the other vicious dogs. And I'm like, my dogs aren't vicious. Okay. Like, I didn't say it to her, but I'm just sitting there like mumbling it to myself. And the lady, she storms off. She starts throwing a fit, and she runs over to the office because it was during office hours. I then walk up to the dog park, and I'm like, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt your phone call, but do you mind if I grab a doggy bag from you? Because my dog, went to the bathroom over there. And she's like, oh yeah, sure. She goes, hold up, wait. Are your dogs not vicious? I'm like, no, ma'am. I'm like, the lady thinks that they're vicious because I did the exact same thing with her a few days ago where, she tried to bring her dogs in here, and I told her no because my dogs were barking at her dogs, and her dogs were like barking at my dogs. And that tells me that they're not going to get along. And she goes, that lady's insane, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, that's welcome to the neighborhood. And this is how this works. And as we're sitting there talking, we must have been talking for like 2 minutes. She just happens to look down, and she goes, whoa. And I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, your dogs. And I'm like, oh yeah, you probably see me all the time because we're always here. This is Daisy, and this is Killian Jones. And she's like, oh my God, they're such pretty dogs. And of course, Killian jumps up and he wants pets. So she pets Killian, and he's like loving all over her. She's like, there's nothing vicious about these doggies. They're so loving. And Daisy, of course, is like sitting there getting her rubs in. And the lady goes, but they actually are getting along with my dogs. I'm like, my dogs tend to get along with just about anybody, as long as you have a good attitude. If you don't have a good attitude, that's why they don't get along with your dogs. So I'm going to guess that the dogs sensed the lady's nasty attitude, and that's why they were barking, because they didn't do that at all to this lady. And this lady was just loving on them. And she's like, did you want to bring your dogs into the dog park to play? I want to see how my female reacts because, one of these is a female, right? And she's like, I'm like, yeah, the German Shepherd's a female. And she looks down, and Daisy and the dog that was a female of hers were licking each other. And she's like, she's never like this with other females. She's like, oh my gosh, I think they just found friends. I'm like, that's awesome. She goes, yeah, come on in. And I was like, okay. So I bring the dogs in. Y'all, my dogs have never been so happy to play with other dogs in their entire life. They're jumping over each other. They're playing. They're running around the dog park. They're laying in the middle of the dog park in a little doggy puddle. And they're just having a good time. Well, not 5 minutes later, I'm sitting here talking to this lady, and I hear the office door open, and some lady comes out yelling, and she's pointing over at the dog park, and she goes, oh, of course, your dogs get along with her dogs just fine. And I'm like, what, huh? Okay. So she's upset because my dogs got along with this lady's dogs, but not her dogs. And I'm like, I don't really know what to tell you about that. Like, that's just how this works. It's just like kids. Not all kids are going to get along with all kids. Some kids don't like other kids. That's just how that works. Their personalities just don't match. You being mad at me because your dogs don't seem to like my dogs and vice versa, yeah, that's not something I can control. Like, I can't just, they're not like kids where I can just be like, play nice, and they just play nice. Like, that's not how this, I don't know if you know how kids work. I don't think you have any, because the fact that you think that I can just snap my fingers and tell my children to behave, if that was the case, Maggie's name wouldn't be like a thing. Like, it wouldn't be a person, place, or thing. It would just be, that's Maggie. But no, Maggie herself is a hellion. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you about that. And the office lady goes, I know, the dogs aren't vicious because those dogs played with my mother's dogs all the time. I can walk over to that fence right now and pet those dogs, and they wouldn't bite me. She goes, the problem is, and for those who don't know, we figured out Daisy's issue. So Daisy does not like tires. The only reasoning I can think of as to why is when the boy that used to walk her, if y'all remember that boy, Lloydell, I think this was his name. There was a little kid that we used to pay to walk our dogs. And when we did that, he would ride his bike with the dogs on his bike, and so that they would run and wear themselves out. Well, I'm guessing something must have happened that he didn't tell us about with him riding the bike with the dogs. Because ever since then, Daisy doesn't like tires. If she sees any kind of tires, strollers, usually I can get her to stop if she's barking at like a stroller, because we have that very strict don't bark at babies thing, because we don't want to scare people's babies. So we make sure that she's not barking at people's babies. But for some reason, the stroller tires, she has to protect the babies from the stroller tires. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, no, my dogs aren't vicious. You just assume that they are because your dogs were barking at my dogs, which caused my dogs to bark, but it was all my dog's fault, as usual. I'm like, it's really not that serious. I'm like, if you would just wait your turn, like the rest of us have to do, you would be fine. But she didn't want to wait her turn. She wanted to get in immediately, and I'm like, that sounds like a you problem. I think this is 819. Maybe, there we go. So maybe we can open this. So yeah, so that lady showed up really bad because the dogs were in there playing with the other neighbor's dogs, and the office lady finally got to see for herself how the lady's been acting towards us because she doesn't want to wait. The problem is she will sit in there for like an hour and a half if you let her, and just sit. Her dogs would have been done way before she actually leaves, and usually they're just laying in the grass, which, you know, if nobody's coming, I understand. But if you see people visibly looking at the dog park and they're walking their dogs, they're trying to get into the dog park. And our dog park isn't public, but people treat it like it is. And I can't even be mad at it, because when I didn't live there, I did the same thing. I would just bring my dogs over to the dog park. So there was that. So yeah, so she got what she had coming to her. All right, sorry about that. I'm missing a bag of drills, and I'm pretty sure when I was playing with the ferrets yesterday that they snatched my bag of drills. So we're going to have to figure out something, because my number 7s are going to have to be bald until I figure out what happened to that bag of drills. So yeah, so the lady at the dog park got what she had coming, and I was happy too, because I just looked over at the leasing lady, and I was just kind of like, hi, and she's like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, good. I'm like, I'll be over to fill up the Scentsy stuff later on. And she's like, okay. I keep a Scentsy display at the office just so that it brings in more local customers. So yeah, so there was that. The last thing I have for you, the only other thing I can think of, this morning I decided to take it upon myself. I'm so sick and tired of this four-way intersection over by Maggie's school. There are some high school kids that have to walk across that intersection, which, again, it's extremely busy in the mornings. They have to walk across this intersection to get to school. And so, of course, they're teenagers, so they can handle it. Like, they know when to cross the street and everything else. But there was this one girl there this morning, and she looked terrified. Like, she was so scared to cross that street. And I felt bad for her because, like, traffic is going, she's standing there. And I don't know if you've ever had to stand at, like, a street corner and wait for traffic to slow down. But it can be a little stressful, especially if you're not somebody that likes to be stared at. Because, of course, you know all those cars are looking at you, wondering what you're doing. So okay, I need 604? 604 for those little symbols there. So she's standing there, and she has, like, this look of terror on her face. Like, again, I felt really bad for her. And there's these cars, and nobody's stopping for her. Usually cars will stop if they see kids, or there's another lady that walks her daughter from the apartments right next to the four-way intersection. Sorry, my robot just went off. There's a lady that walks right next to the four-way intersection with her baby, like, in a stroller. And her young daughter that go to the elementary school, they walked her to school every morning. And I always feel bad when they have to stand there at that corner because they're walking. I usually complain about having to drive that intersection. These people are walking that intersection. And I'm like, there's no way in hell. So which number is it? That is one of the circle ones, so we need one of these. And I need number 6. So I see the girl out there this morning, and I'm sitting there like, okay, this is ridiculous. Like, and again, when the people see the lady in the carriage, they will stop traffic to let her pass. But the teenagers, nay, let them, play Frogger and hope for the best, hope they make it across the street. So I sat there and I was like, okay, I'm just going to stop traffic so this poor girl can get across the street, because she had to have been standing there for a while. So I was like, all right. So I essentially wait till there's a break in traffic, and enough of a break that if people saw my car in the middle of the street, they would have time to react versus just hitting my car. So I stopped my car in the middle of the street, and I got out, and I essentially held off traffic so this poor girl could cross the street. She's like, thank you. And I was like, you're welcome. And there's like cars starting to come up, and they're stopping. The one car, as I go to get back in my car, the one car honks at me. So I just flipped the guy off and was like, fuck you, buddy. And I get back in the car and take Maggie to school. Maggie's sitting there the whole time like, Mom, why did you stop traffic? I'm like, because the poor girl had to walk across the street. I would hope that somebody would do the same for you if they saw you standing at the street corner. But then again, I don't have a problem taking my kids to school because I don't have to be at work before they got to be at school or something. So I'm like, I can take you to school. But these kids' parents can't just up and take them to school. So obviously they have to walk. So, I would hope that if you were in that situation, somebody would be kind enough to do this for you. And she's like, Mommy, that's so nice. I like it when you're nice sometimes. She's like, but you don't usually do nice things. I'm like, I do nice things. You just don't see them because you're not around me as much as you used to be. Maggie since she got her independent streak, Maggie and I don't hang out as much, which is kind of sad. But we don't hang out as much watching like TV and games and stuff like that. Mostly also because she cheats. We were playing Uno the other day, and something happened with one of the dogs. I think Killian was back here chasing something or doing something. And he goes to do like this weird little like bunny hop. And I look over at him, and out of my peripherals, right? Out of the peripherals of my vision, I see Maggie grab 3 Uno cards, look at them, place 2 under her leg, and then put 1 in her hand. And I'm like, chick, you act like I can't count. Like I can't 1, 2, 3 and notice that you had 2 cards and now you have like 3 or 4. Like, what the hell? So yeah, so there's that. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. Again, there will be VODs from Twitch coming over. The one that I had from yesterday, though, will not be coming over just because, yeah, there were some things said that I don't want, like, on the channel. So you guys will get the whip and chat for today. So thank you guys so much again for watching. If you have any other questions, comments, concerns, please leave those down in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I possibly can. But with that said, I must now bid you adieu, but not before reminding you that it's hard out here in these crafty streets, so please stay safe. Please remember to wash your hands. Don't touch your face in public because that's gross. Keep your 6 feet and always try to remember to be kind to others because you never know what somebody else is going through. Be courteous because it's the right thing to do, and always stay cool. Bye, guys!